What's going on YouTube? So Escalade has long set the standard for flagship luxury SUVs. But how do you improve on an iconic nameplate such as this? Well, now in 2025, you electrify it. This is the all-new Cadillac Escalade IQ. And it has a lot of special features that you can't even get on the regular version of the Escalade. So we're going to take a detailed look at this and show you all those special cool things that you won't believe. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's kick things off with our spec dump real fast. So obviously this is electric, as I mentioned. It has a 200 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack with dual motor all-wheel drive. Total system power can be up to 750 horsepower, and our range is a very impressive 460 miles.
Now the base price on the Escalade IQ is $127,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because this has a very special exterior design and you won't believe the interior. Now this vehicle is completely new from the ground up. It shares no physical relation to the ICE version of the Escalade, and you can begin to tell that as soon as you walk up to the front design. It's going to be a little less boxy than that traditional Escalade, but still has a lot of presence. Up in the front, we've got a really big, bold grille. Obviously, this is not actually used for ventilation, but instead what they've done is added these really cool lighting elements, which give it presence during the day and especially at night when everything lights up all the way across the vehicle. Now, as you'd expect, you do have a lot of animations as well, so you've got that really cool effect when you walk up to and exit away from the vehicle itself. Now, talking about the headlights specifically, you've got a super premium crystal LED design. It's got that signature stacked arrangement that flows all the way down through there. You've got your daytime running light and turn signal indicator. This one has the dynamic flow at the top and then waterfalls on down. Now moving into our wheels, you actually have standard 24-inch alloys. It's an absolutely massive size, but it looks fantastic here on this vehicle. You can get a few different designs depending on what you like. As you can see, this Sport 2 version gives you a contrast design, which is mostly blacked out and I think looks very nice. Now I also wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that we, of course, have an air suspension, so that's one thing to keep in mind. That's going to give you a lot of variability in terms of your ride height. You can actually activate as a kind of special Easter egg, a low rider mode, which like slams it down. And then another cool thing this has is rear steering. So that's going to help you with maneuverability, but it also is going to give you access to what is called Cadillac Arrival mode, which allows the vehicle to effectively kind of drive diagonally. It's a really cool effect, and I think if you use those two things in combination, no one will be able to ignore your arrival, that's for sure. Now coming up here to our mirrors, you're going to have all the premium features you expect, including auto dimming on the driver's side, blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Now at the side of the Escalade IQ, we have just an absolute massive vehicle size. It comes in at 224 inches long, and this is the standard wheelbase version. Now you may have actually seen in the news the IQL. That's actually a longer version. It's kind of like the ESV version of the Escalade IQ lineup, and that's going to further extend that about 4 more inches to be 228 inches long. Now, if you're actually curious in learning more about that model, you can actually check out a video. We did a first look review of that, so you can see all the differences that are associated with that, as well as the third row extra space. But as far as this standard wheelbase version, it looks really good here at the side. Do note that you're not going to have roof rails. Those only come on the IQL model. You can also get a two-tone roof option. Of course, this one's going to be fully blacked out for that nice stealthy look, but I think it looks really good if you pair it with like a brighter exterior color with the blacked out roof. Now, as we head around to the rear design, really this is a beautiful overall look. Now, Cadillac was tasked with a very difficult thing to modernize the overall Escalade's rear, but I think they've really done it successfully here with the IQ. We're going to have a little bit more of a sloped off design here for the standard wheelbase version. We do have a spoiler up top and a wiper in between. And then as far as our taillights, we're actually going to have a separated unit, although it does have that signature Escalade waterfall design theme to it. Of course, every element in here is fully LED. and they're going to have a really premium look to it. They also have entry and exit animations. We have our 1000 branding right here, and then as we drop down to the lower fascia, of course there's no need for exhaust outlets. This is electric. However, when it comes to towing, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. This thing can tow 8,000 pounds, which actually matches that of the gasoline version of the Escalade. And now let's go ahead and talk about your safety systems. Every single one of those is going to be included as standard equipment, and that will even include things like GM's Super Cruise system, which allows for hands-free driving on highways as well as some secondary roads. That's going to be included free for 3 years. But guys, I think you're going to be absolutely blown away by the inside, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now it's time to check out the interior. First, we'll look at the Q fob. This is one of the more conventional elements of the IQ. It's just a regular Cadillac Escalade Q fob, but you do have your ability to precondition the cabin and open the frunk on the fob. Walking up to the vehicle itself, obviously you're going to get those animations I was talking about earlier. This does have an electronic door handle, so you just pinch, and that's going to open up the door. Now, the doors themselves are special in the fact that they are power doors, so you can just press that would close it up, and do it opposite as well to open it up. But let's get into this interior. Now, obviously, we have just a stunning interior. There's a lot going on in terms of both technology and the overall luxury factor. Let's begin with the seats, though. So there's not going to be any real leather for the interior, but you've got two different grades. We have the super realistic faux leather, and we have the beautiful harbor blue color. This is absolutely stunning. I love all the details that they've done in the stitching and piping going throughout, and again, it just feels super realistic. No one would know that this is not the real thing. Now, the seat controls are over here on the door trim. You've got a lot of different adjustments. Of course, you have heating and ventilation, and then this right here is going to be able to activate your massaging and take you through all the different modes. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, you might have noticed on the outside the fact that we don't have power deploying running boards. Those cannot be on the IQ just because of the overall structure of the vehicle like they can on the traditional Escalade. And then check that out. Obviously, that's a pretty darn cool feature. You put your foot on the brake, that fires up the vehicle automatically without pushing anything and closes up your door. Now that we're fully inside here, I want to just go ahead and look around at the rest of the cabin materials. Obviously, you have just beautiful materials top to bottom. So over here on our door trim, more of that leatherette material going all through here in that blue and all along the top. Beautiful etched metal speaker grills that are absolutely enormous. We have a beautiful wood that runs through here, and it actually has little perforations inside because ambient lighting will shine through this real wood. Up top here, padded plastic. Beautiful wood continues all through here. We got the high gloss finish on today's example. More of the leather material through here and all along here with more wood, a little bit of piano black, but not too much. And overall, just really solid. I already started up by putting my foot on the brake. Now, let's get into some of the individual details. First of all, we've got the, very small detail of this display here. Just kidding. We have a 55-inch display. We might as well just go on and talk about this right from the start because this just occupies so much of the overall interior. It's got a lot of different functions because it's kind of three different things, both the gauge cluster, the infotainment system, and a passenger display. We'll start with the gauge cluster. So right now I've got it in the Google Maps mode. Obviously this is absolutely enormous. I can select on here a few different things as well, including a night vision camera, or we can just do something traditional if you want to just kind of see your regular gauges. One way or the other, you do have a large head-up display, which also contains a lot of different information inside as well. Now, as I pull back to the steering wheel, we have a beautiful two-spoke steering wheel. It's going to have nice leather covering all throughout. power tilt and telescoping abilities. Of course, you have steering wheel heating as well. This does have the Super Cruise, as Mason was saying earlier, so that's what this bar is for as well. Now, turning over to interior storage, you want to see a lot of storage on an SUV this big, and it's not going to disappoint, that's for sure. They've really utilized the packaging to its maximum degree. Opening up our center console here, we're going to have plenty of space. As you can see right now, we've actually got our headphones charging for the rear entertainment system, but regardless there, you can see you have a ton of space. As we move forward though, you have not one, but 2 wireless phone charging pads. You've got some storage behind this display, and then this right here is the real winner. So we've got just an absolute ton of storage. You can stick just about anything in this area. One of the things you can stick here, interestingly, is an accessory, a full refrigerator system. So keep your drinks cool and stuff, and have a door on both sides for you to access those beverages. Now, as we move back into this region, you're going to see that obviously this doesn't have a traditional climate control system. The climate controls are going to be built into this display. Now, this actually has 5 distinct zones of climate, which is 2 more than what you get on the standard gas Escalade, and you can control each of those, as you can see right there, individually inside of this main display. This isn't the only thing that you can do inside the display, so you can see you've got some additional functions inside of here, including our seats. This is also a good place for you additionally to see some of those massage modes that I was talking about earlier on at the Luxury 2 and the Sport 2. And then you also have some driving controls inside of here. This is where you can activate things like your arrival mode right inside the rear steering. You can activate your universal remotes, and you can open and close all the doors right here. So for instance, if you want to let your child out and then close the door behind them, that's something that you can do with this Escalade IQ. Now, of course, none of that space was dedicated to a shifter because it's up here on the column. Super simple. Just pull down for drive, bump up for reverse. When you go into reverse, here's your standard 360-degree camera system. As you can see, you've got that overhead view. You've got active trajectory, and then you can switch between a few different views over here. One thing I do want to say, though, is that for as much screen real estate as you have, the actual camera display is a little bit small, and the resolution is not fantastic. It's pretty good, though. You can just press the N there for park. Now, down here on the lower panel, you'll also notice you have a control knob. This can control your infotainment system, or of course, it's a touchscreen. And next to it, you have a physical control for the audio system. Now, the audio is really a big highlight of this vehicle because we got the AKG premium sound system. You're going to get at least 19 speakers as standard equipment, but since we have one of the higher end models, we get the 36 speaker sound system. And let's go ahead and give it a sample right now. Yeah, this is just a fantastic sounding sound system. As you'd expect, you've got speakers coming out of pretty much everywhere, including inside your headrest and right above your head. So yeah, just an absolutely stunning sounding sound system. Okay, so let's kind of bring our attention into the main infotainment system itself. So obviously it takes up a lot of space in terms of screen real estate, but if you've been in some of the recent Cadillac models, it will be pretty easy to understand. It's an Android-based system. It does have Google Apps built in as well. So one of the things, of course, you can do, as you probably saw earlier, is just pull up kind of your built-in Google Maps. That's going to be able to give you live traffic, all the things you're used to seeing, just kind of built natively into the system. Of course, kind of the important thing to mention is the fact that you will actually be using the built-in because you don't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. As a electric General Motors product, they have pulled those systems from their lineup, so you cannot have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, wired or wireless. Now, of course, over here you've got that passenger display I was talking about earlier. You can see you can pull up certain things like your favorite car Confections review on YouTube. And then up top here, we've got the digital camera rear view mirror. The headliner is finished in a beautiful suede. And then you're probably seeing this roof panel area. So this has a fixed panoramic sunroof. It does not have a sunshade built in, nor can it open. So keep those two things in mind. As you can see, we have the accessory sunshade kind of put in there. You know, owners can choose to have that if you want. I would prefer to have one kind of natively built in, because this one kind of looks a little bit of an afterthought, which I guess it is kind of an afterthought. But you can, you know, take this in and out, but obviously it's not going to slide.
All right, so let's discuss the rear seat area. Of course, the Escalade is all about the luxury in the front, the bouginess on the outside, but also about the practicality. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, I'm happy to tell you that with the Escalade IQ, we're going to have very similar space figures to something like a gas Escalade, if that's what you're coming from. 41.3 inches of legroom and about 40 inches of headroom. Both of those figures are really quite nice. Now, I do want to point out, if you get the IQL, that increases that legroom figure just by about 1/10 of an inch. And of course, we brought the official Car Confections ruler along for us. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". I'm 5'9", and you can expect about a little over 8 inches of knee room with the seat slid all the way back. Now, my feet can also easily slide up underneath of the seat, and I can easily slide the seat forward and back, as well as recline it. As you can see, we also do have the captain's chair arrangement on this model, so that's going to allow for this entire center section to be open. However, I do want to point out there's a new executive rear seating package. So if you're really looking for all the bougie features, you can get that in the Escalade IQ. That's going to add things like massaging, an entire center area here with a screen, as well as ventilation for the back seats, even a picnic table. So it's a true first-class luxury experience if you're interested in checking that option off. It is quite pricey, though. It's around 10 grand. Now, as far as other features are concerned, just here on the more standard model, we have vents here in the center section. We have this large screen. This will allow us to adjust, of course, our own climate controls. We have 2 different zones here in the rear. We can also adjust the third row from this screen. You'll notice that we have heated back seats. That is going to be standard equipment. If you want ventilated back seats, you have to choose that executive rear seating package. And then we do also have controls for things like our power doors back here. Down below, we have 2 HDMI ports, 2 USB-Cs, and even a household outlet as well. Now, you're probably also noticing the fact that we have rear seat entertainment screens. So this will allow us to do a lot of different things. You can actually see a lot of your driving information, or you can do things like watch your favorite Car Confections YouTube video. You don't have to miss out from the front seat. You can watch it in the back as well. Now, as far as the door trim is concerned, we are going to have a really nice one. Interestingly enough, no rear window sunshades, but it's a beautifully crafted door trim. Lots of nice materials going on, including a gigantic metal speaker grille and quite a bit of door storage. And now let's check out the third row in the Escalade IQ. In order to get back here, you just press this lever once. That's going to fold the seat down. Once more is going to pop it up and out of place. Do be aware you'd have to remove a child seat with this folding mechanism, though, so that's a little bit of an aggravation. Now, getting into the third row itself is really easy with that seat, popped up like that. And let's go ahead and talk about the space here in the Escalade IQ. Now, as far as the space is concerned, we're going to be sitting at about 30 inches of legroom. This seat is slid all the way back in its tracks, and as you can see, even at 5'9", like myself, I am still looking at just a tiny bit of extra space, about a little over an inch of knee room, and my feet can slide up underneath of the seat. Now, I do want to point out, for those of you, that are coming from a gas Escalade, this is not quite as good of a third row as a standard gas Escalade or the ESV, of course. However, Cadillac has an answer for you if you want a better third row. That's the Escalade IQL. That's going to increase the rear legroom by about 4 inches, increase the seat height by about an inch, and also give you an inch more headroom. So it's overall a lot better of a third row. If you're going to be using it very frequently, I would recommend getting that option, but this one is going to be perfectly fine. The headroom is a little bit tight, though. As you can see, my head is scraping the ceiling. Now, as far as features, we have a leatherette pad through here, USB-C, a cup holder. We're also going to have vents here in the ceiling, and it's actually for all 3 passengers here in the rear, so that's very nice. And as far as how it lands on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for adults. All right, let's check out the cargo area as well. You just press on the Cadillac emblem. That's going to open it up. And let's talk about this. As far as cargo space is concerned, that's obviously a big priority for the Escalade. The IQ is slightly smaller than the gas model, but honestly not by a huge margin. You're still going to have quite a lot of space. So behind the third row of seats, you're sitting at about 24 cubic feet of cargo capacity, 69 cubic feet behind the second row, and has a maximum 119 cubic feet. Now, if you want more space, I would recommend you choose that Escalade IQL, which will extend this out a little bit, give you a little bit more cargo space in all of your seating configurations, so keep that in mind. But overall, I think it's going to be perfectly enough for the vast majority of people. Now, as far as standard equipment, we do have a standard power folding third row. You easily just can press these buttons right here. That's going to fold it down. You can electronically release the second row of seats, and that's going to give you your maximum cargo capacity. Let's also get our cargo length, width, and height figures for the Escalade IQ. From behind Drew's 5'8" driving position to the rear of the cargo area, we're sitting at a very nice 93 inches of cargo length. That is a ton. The seats fold completely flat with the floor. That one over there is just pushed a little bit too forward. And then from behind the second row, about 54 inches of length. From behind the third row, 22 inches of length. Let's get our opening. That is going to be 50 inches wide, absolutely massive. And then overall cargo height here is about 30 inches tall. The Escalade IQL kind of makes it a little bit more square, so you can stack up a little bit taller as well. Underneath of the floor, there's not a ton of space, but you know what? This is an Escalade IQ. After all, it's all electric, so that means there's a little bit of extra space somewhere else. Let's check it out. Where is that extra space, you may ask? Well, it's where a big V8 would normally be in an Escalade. We have a gigantic frunk. Now, as far as the space is concerned on this, about 12 cubic feet of space up here in the front. That is a lot, actually. So typically with a frunk, you might only have about 5 cubic feet. This is a lot more than your average setup, and Cadillac has done a lot creatively with this, frunk area. You can actually attach accessories, have little boxes and things. They'll know that this is, frequently used for things like groceries, so it keeps all of that from rolling around. You can even have a tray that slides in and out to make accessing things way back there a lot easier. So I'm happy that they're being very clever with this storage solution. We even have a household outlet right up here in the front. We also have one in the rear as well. I forgot to mention that earlier. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Escalade IQ. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration, but we'll also be getting things like our sound level reading and discussing the ride quality with those large 24s on the outside.
All right, so that was punching it up to about 60 miles an hour. Now, obviously, this Escalade IQ has a lot of power. We talked about that a little at the beginning with the spec dump. So, in terms of those actual power figures, you're looking at a maximum of 750 horsepower and 785 pound-feet of torque. That's accessed by going into your Velocity Max mode, which is the little V here on the steering wheel. I was just giving you the acceleration in the sport mode. That downgrades you to only 680 horsepower.
Yeah, so it's still very, very quick. That's to say the least. 615 pound-feet of torque is what you can expect in the normal drive mode. That's still, quite a lot, especially this is a big vehicle. As soon as you get behind the wheel of this, it does feel very large. So, the fact that it accelerates quickly at all is a testament to just how much power you have. As far as your 0 to 60, Cadillac is claiming 4.7 seconds in the V velocity, mode. So, if you're just in the sport mode, I'd say you're a little over 5.
Yeah, definitely. You have to remember that the weight on this is tremendous. This is a vehicle that's around 9,000 pounds. So that's an incredible amount of weight. Obviously, the battery pack is most of that weight. It's really an enormous battery, and we'll talk a little bit more about the range later on. But yeah, so it definitely is really cool, like Mason was saying, that when you add that much power, you can still have good performance even out of something that weighs this much. All right, so we pulled off here, let the traffic clear, and we're gonna do it in Velocity Max now. Here we go. All right, yeah, Woo. There we go.
Yep.
We're going a little uphill, but yeah, it's certainly quick. For something this big, it really does move. Also, you notice that it dials in a sound effect, so if you like that kind of sensation of accelerating really hard, it gives you that.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty significant, difference
yes.
In the overall vehicle character. Now, as far as some actual specs, we said this at the very beginning, but you are looking at a 200 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. That is, of course, why this vehicle weighs so much, is because that is a gigantic battery. It's one of the largest batteries you can get on the entire market. Certainly going to be a lot larger than other rivals that you may be looking at, such as the Rivian R1S. And then, of course, it is also comprised of a dual-motor all-wheel drive system, regardless of which trim level you select. As a matter of fact, this is just going to be the only configuration for the Escalade IQ. You have your different trims that give you different, interior materials and features. However, the powertrain is all going to be the same regardless of which model.
Now, of course, you might wonder, can you feel the weight? Yes, you can feel the weight. Like Mason was saying, this remains a very comfort-focused, even when you're driving in the most hardcore mode, definitely still very comfort-focused. As you go around corners, though, pretty good body roll. I think you'll be really surprised at how athletic it is compared to maybe a traditional Escalade, just because you carry all that weight down low with this Ultium platform. EVs just typically have a little bit more athleticism baked into them in terms of the overall handling, but yes, you are going to have body roll. Yes, it does feel heavy when you go around some sweeping corners like we're going around today, up here in the San Francisco area next to the beautiful Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, I think there's also something to be said for the rear steering as well that this model has. I was definitely appreciating that as I was driving earlier on today. When you go, around any type of tight corner, that definitely is going to kick in and help this gigantic vehicle maneuver. Like, as far as sizing is concerned, lengthwise, this is about the same size. It's just a few inches shorter than an ESV gasoline model, and it does not feel nearly that big to drive around, and a lot of that has to do with the rear steering. Also, the turning circle is very, very good on this. I was using it in a tight parking lot, and I actually thought I was going to have to back up and make a multi-point maneuver, but with the rear steering, I was able to do that very easily. Now I'm going to go ahead and put us back in the touring mode, and the reason for that is because I need to talk about ride quality. Now, when it comes to the Escalade IQ, like we have said, this is a vehicle that is focused on the comfort and luxury side of things, and all models are going to come standard with an air suspension, and because of that, you do have really, really good ride. But also, all models come standard with 24-inch alloy wheels. So there is, a little bit of a trade-off there. I would, maybe have liked Cadillac to give you the option of having 22s on this if you were really focused on ride quality and that was your main priority. But overall, I have found it to be very good. It's, as good as you would expect out of a flagship SUV. It's just not the very best that you can get. We've actually already reviewed a gasoline Escalade with the 22s and the air suspension, and that has slightly better ride quality. I'd also say that the IQ, being as heavy as it is, when you hit a large bump in the road, you really kind of slam down on it just because of the vehicle's weight.
Yeah, and don't forget about magnetic ride control as well. It has version 4.0 working in concert with the adaptive air suspension, so you have a lot of systems that really make what was honestly an impossible task a few years ago possible, to have good ride quality and 24-inch alloys.
Well, let's also talk about the vehicle's range. Now, that is, of course, the big thing that you probably have already seen advertised, because this is the highest range EV luxury SUV out there. 460 miles on a charge, and that actually goes for not only just the standard wheelbase version, but also the new upcoming Escalade IQ-L model. So 460 miles, that certainly is a really long distance. It's going to be good enough to take you on a lot of different road trips as well. This kind of just reminds me, we're going on the Pacific coast here, you could actually go a long distance, not just a little bit outside of the city and then need a charge again. 460 miles is a good distance, and you even have things like the Super Cruise system that really make this a very good road trip companion.
Now we're hitting some of the corners here. I already talked a little bit about those dynamics. Beautiful scenery here, and by the way, you do have, one pedal drive ability. If you like that, you can go into low mode, you can go into high mode, you can turn it off. You can also control the regen individually by hitting this paddle, which is actually kind of like another brake pedal in a way, because if you press on it harder, you get more regen. Really aggressive regen, actually. You could probably, so you can kind of avoid using the brake pedal if for some reason you want to do that.
Yeah. And let's also talk about charging. So, you're going to be able to recoup a lot of that energy if you're going downhill. And as far as the charging itself is concerned, we do have some pretty good specs. You can charge at speeds of up to 350 kilowatts, which gives you about 100 miles of range in as little as 10 minutes. So that's quite good. Now, if you're, curious as to how fast this can charge on a, level 2 charger that you might have in your garage, it's about 37 miles per hour of charging. So this is a very big battery pack size, so I do want to point that out. If you're going to completely deplete it, it is going to take a while to charge back up at your home charger level 2, because it is just so big. 200 kilowatt hours is gigantic. But I think for a lot of you guys that might just be driving around in the city, doing, your daily activities, 50, 60 miles, it's going to charge up just fine overnight. All right, but let's get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
I think the Slam Dunk is just the unique features that this has and abilities over that traditional gas model. It really raises the bar for Escalade because it has some special things that no Escalade before it has ever been able to do. And, are those all things that are necessary? No, but when you're buying at this price point, you're not really looking for that. You're looking for something that is special and really stands out, and I think this vehicle has that.
Yeah. On the Airball side of things, the main thing that we could come up with is the price. I think Cadillac really nailed the overall design and packaging of this model, and now they even have the IQ-L that extends out that third row and adds extra cargo capacity.
Upcoming, not
quite yet, but it will be out. And so on the Airball side of things, the main thing we can come up with is the price. This thing is very expensive. It basically starts at where the gasoline Escalade leaves off, if you're not including the V model. And this one, as tested today, we'll get into pricing a little bit later, but it's sitting over $150,000, and that is just a lot. Certainly going to be quite a bit of a price premium over even the gas model.
And now that we made it to a highway, I went ahead and activated the Super Cruise system just to kind of demonstrate that. Obviously, this does operate the same as in other General Motors vehicles on the Escalade IQ, but it's very impressive. You can set it to do auto lane changes, things like that, and overall it has more terrain maps basically with both your highways and your secondary roads than any of the other autonomous driving systems out there.
Yeah, one thing I did notice as we were inputting in our destination on Google Maps is it actually will not only tell you, of course, the battery percentage of the vehicle when you will arrive at your destination, but also tell you how much of that time you're going to be able to use Super Cruise. So it's like half of the drive. So we're doing a 40-minute drive, and it's like 19 minutes of our drive will be on Super Cruise roads, which is kind of a cool feature that they have integrated natively into the system. Now, how much is all of this going to cost? Well, you heard me say at the very beginning, this starts at around $127,000. That's for the Luxury 1 model. Now, if you want the Sport 1, that's $128,000, Luxury 2 is $147,000, and the Sport 2 is $148,000. Now, if you want the IQ-L, so the extended wheelbase version, we actually do have pricing for that model. It's going to be a 2026 model year, and it's going to cost around $3,000 extra. So top end, we're looking at $151,000. Now, if you want one as equipped today, we have the pricing on the screen right now, but it definitely is going to cost you quite a bit to get an Escalade IQ, and it is a bit more expensive than even the gas version of the Escalade, so keep that in mind. Now, if you're looking to buy an Escalade IQ or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Cadillac Escalade IQ's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth around 40.7% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 14.6% of original MSRP. Now, it is worth noting, this is an electric SUV, and it's also a flagship, so sometimes that can negatively impact your resale value percentage, that's for sure. So just keep that in mind. It is very much on par with other German luxury brands like BMW, Mercedes, and Audi.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Cadillac does rank above the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, lastly, when it comes to your warranty, Cadillac does give you a very good one. 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, 8-year, 100,000 miles for your battery components, and you do also get 1 year of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Cadillac Escalade IQ. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and we promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.